hard on it flawlessly. I always tell her, I'm going to be your biggest fan even after you fire me. That's how good of a GM she is. It hasn't always been that way. I've had some really bad general managers in 16 years living here. The two best was the one that hired and brought me here, and the one I've enjoyed for, I think Allison's got to be going on 7-8 years. But, we had one I called the Leprechaun before that. And one of the verbal exchanges I got in with him, which I felt so convicted over, not only when it was over did I ask him to forgive me, I insisted on emailing the entire building and ask for their forgiveness. Now, he deserved it, but I took the bait, and I shouldn't have done what I did. But, I mean, it could have happened. In other words, I'm trying to explain to you why I give God all the credit. I don't think it's a coincidence at the time I needed to get out, according to the FBI, or die, this opportunity opened up. And it has been the only place my children have lived, the only place I have raised them, and the only place I have called home. It's a unique privilege, and it's an honor, and one that I don't take lightly. And so I'm grateful that God has used me. But having said that, so I am not the norm. I can't stress enough how unnormal this is. 2 cities in radio, let alone talk radio, in 35 years, let alone this one for 16 years. But if I call my wife and I say, baby, I got some good news and I got some bad news, she always assumes I got fired. Now, if I was the kind of guy that gets fired every 2 years, I'd get that. Mac, I got some good news and I got some bad news.
Hit me.
The good news is, well, actually, the bad news is you have allowed a football team that doesn't care at all about you. They don't know your name. They don't care if you're working, eating, if your girlfriend's got you on some crazy diet that's making you miserable and has you running to the bathroom. They don't care about any of that. They're making millions. Oh, you're getting, pittance. That's a whole other topic. But the good news is you have a team that you love, unhealthy, but love, and they're going to the Super Bowl. The bad news, they're going to lose 31-17. The Madden simulation has taken place. By the way, a pretty impressive record. I mean, compared to Dan's picks on FanDuel, or I probably have got it wrong. Which one is he? FanDuel?
FanDuel.
FanDuel? Good.
Yeah.
They're 11-8 in their last 19.
That's not
these
bad.
Simulations. I said Eagles and by double figures, so this would match my feelings, and I can get into all that a little bit later on. But yeah, they simulated I don't know how many thousand times they played the game, and it came out Eagles 31-17. So your Chiefs are going to lose Sunday. Is that why you're taking Monday off and didn't tell me?
Yeah, no, I'll be celebrating. I'll be up very late.
You are cocky
basking in glory.
You are cocky and convinced. I'll give you that. So is my wife, by the way. It's just purely outfits. Purely based on outfits. She is convinced the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. And has planned like a celebratory menu.
Oh, I love it.
So this is the question, because your girlfriend's, first of all, beautiful. Second of all, like my daughters, see something different in the mirror. So she's always on a crazy diet and dragging you with her. How has this affected the menu for the Super Bowl at your home?
We're going wings and pizza. I mean, she can bring a salad if she'd like, but we're going all out.
All right, I bought the electric smoker. So you knew wings were going to be a part of it. I have hand-selected my wings, which I hand-cut so that they're perfect. And then I went online. My friend Pete, who used to own a restaurant, and we may own one together again. I think that's how I'm going to end my career, owning a restaurant.
That'd be
which
great.
is really a really bad plan, because there's no money in it, and you work night and day. But he turned me on to some seasonings that I have arriving tomorrow. One is a jalapeno garlic rub for wings. I think I'm thinking about going dry. Now, I have a wet.
Love that.
First of all, you just kind of like season well and then smoke for hours. And then in the last 30 minutes, you add more of the wet stuff. And that one is a habanero one that I have that is perfection. So I'm thinking about I have a hot rub coming, and I have the jalapeno garlic rub coming, and then I'm going to do my normal wet habanero for the wings. And then I got beautiful grass-fed sliced sirloin that is absolutely fabulous. and I'm going to do that with my nachos. So I'm going to do some fancy nachos. Because, I got to make it about the food. I don't care about either of these teams. Although our old punter could win a Super Bowl ring at the Eagles.
That's true. Brett Kern.
Brett is I got to know him.
And so could our wide receiver.
Now, you see, a general manager got fired for that. Do you really want to celebrate that? Our poor general manager is out of work. Yeah, I think A.J. Brown has a big game, and nobody sees this coming, but why am I blank on his first name, Smith? From Louisiana,
Devontae
Alabama.
Smith.
Devontae Smith has been huge the last 5-6 games.
Great
in fact,
player.
in the postseason, he's been the go-to guy. So I expect him to have a big game. And there's a huge special teams advantage for Philadelphia that nobody sees coming. And then the matchup.
Special teams, you got to be a little more specific. What are you talking about? We have a top 3 kicker in the league and a top 3 punter in the league. So I just want to know what you're talking about.
Return yards.
Oh,
scoring.
That's fair. Yeah. We're a bad punt return team. I'm just saying we have a better kicker and a better punter.
First of all, I think it's going to be high scoring, so I'm not going to play the whole possession, and field position thing because I think it's going to be high scoring. But the matchups, when you look at like yardage and scoring and passing, the matchups, that plays into the strength. At some point, now you and I talked about this off the air, and I don't want to do sports talk because I got a lot of Biden. But I think you've got 2 really good running backs that nobody talks about. And then a running game that is very effective when you want it to be. And it's going to have to be Sunday because of the way things are matching up. But I know you're confident. And listen, I don't have a dog in this hunt. So I just was starting the show dramatically to aggravate you. That the Madden simulation came up 31-17. Now, I will tell you and look you right in the eye and tell you, I just see this coming like a buzzsaw. And I think I love your coach. And so for Andy Reid's sake, I'm rooting for them. I love Travis Kelce. I mean, I love Kelce. I want to see him win a Super Bowl. So I'm not against it. Now, there's people on Philadelphia that I really like, and you brought up Brett. Brett's probably the number one reason. Met him and his father because they did Christ-centered baseball camps.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
That are neat. So I really don't have a dog in this hunt. I just see where there's been drama. Like, I think drama did the Bills in.
Yep.
In the end, all the Hamlin
Agreed.
distraction. The injury, and will he be 100%? We're going to go over injuries. One of the bigger ones, I saved this. I wanted to share it with you. I didn't realize, where did I put it? Injuries. Here we go. And I would think with 2 weeks to prepare, and as good as he looked in the AFC Championship game, I think Patrick Mahomes is 100%? No, but I would suspect his high ankle sprain has had a little more time to heal. Nothing's going to keep him out of the game, and nothing's going to keep him from being a factor. I didn't realize Hardman was out.
Yeah, Hardman, we've been out without Hardman for about 2 months now, so luckily we've gotten used to it. But yeah, he's our fastest player. It is definitely a loss.
Yeah.
He's definitely a gadget guy. Jalen Hurts, they're hurt. He's hurt as well. Both
I'm trying to think. I remember looking at. I can't find the thing I had on it. Turnovers could be huge too. There's a huge turnover advantage for Philadelphia.
I am confident. Let me just say real quick, and I know you're going to get off this, but they are a better team. I think they have a better roster, but I'll take us having the 3 best players and the better coach. That's really where I'm at.
And that was going to be the opposite of my point. My point is I think everybody can name 7, 8 Chiefs. Everybody kind of thinks the Chiefs are great. I love how Philadelphia has been under the radar and just businesslike with no distractions and playing their best football when you want to play it and healthy when you want to be healthy. The special teams and turnover advantage. I think there's a lot of things people don't see coming, and that's why I like Philadelphia. But Madden, 11-8 in the last 19 Super Bowls, says the Eagles will win 31-17. You could not have a more politically correct set of performances coming your way. I will go through that with you. Now, everybody knows Chris Stapleton, 8-time Grammy Award winner, will be doing the national anthem. But what do you know about who will be signing the national anthem and America the Beautiful? They have done even the flyover has been woked for the Super Bowl. We'll cover that later on. Joe Biden. Now, let me remind people, we didn't always have televised State of the Unions. Even after television, we didn't have televised State of the Unions. That's become somewhat normal for everyone. And so now, in such dysfunction, where it used to be about you and it used to be about the people's house and a president who is the executive who executes the laws of Congress and the will of people, would report a State of the Union in writing, and then it became televised. We've talked about that a lot this week. Well, it wasn't always that a president was addressed the nation during a Super Bowl. In fact, I'm trying to figure out who the first was. My guess would be, and I haven't researched it, George W. Bush, because it was after 9/11. The first Super Bowl after 9/11. I think that may have been the first time. Now, if you go back before that, it used to be Richard Nixon was on the phone in the locker room wanting to talk to Len Dawson or Bart Starr and congratulate him on winning a Super Bowl. But it wasn't always the case that presidents did these interviews. So, like, it's a big story today that Joe Biden isn't going to do the interview. And at this point, nobody at Fox, well, first of all, it's not been planned. Nobody's going there. It hasn't been recorded and in the can. The assumption is that Joe Biden is going to skip the Super Bowl interview, which I would love to see all of this stuff go away and get back to the football game. And the notion that the football game, which gets lost in all of this, may lead to no longer, because in woke world, can you celebrate Columbus and the can of worms he opened up, discovering this place with the, replacing it with a holiday the day after the Super Bowl, that's going to become a significant national holiday. And then when you sit down to watch it, there's very little emphasis on the game itself. So in terms of the Super Bowl, we're going to cover injuries. We're going to cover the national anthem, America the Beautiful, all the signers, all the flyovers, the no Biden interview, the computer simulation. And at the end of all of that, guess what? Two teams are going to play a game, and one's going to score more points than the other, and they're going to be the Super Bowl championship. And then the champions, and then we can move on to March Madness and the Masters, which is where we're all dying to get anyway. But we will cover also with Joe Biden a couple of interesting stats, not just the viewership, which for the State of the Union was, as I predicted, a record low. It was actually up. Why? Because it's only the second lowest State of the Union watched. The first was the first Joe Biden State of the Union, which isn't a cheap talk radio slam on Joe Biden as much as in the divided states of America. Just as we'll never see presidents with over 50% approval ratings, will we ever see high ratings for State of the Unions? We're just simply too divided to take an honest look at the state of our being. It's 9:21, that more between now and noon. Miss a little, you'll miss a lot, miss a lot, and I'll miss you. This is WTN.
I'm Michael DelGiorno for Paul Winkler Inc. One of the things I love about Paul and his team is that they voluntarily hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary duty out there. And because of that, the government requires that I tell you I'm paid every time this commercial airs, and that there's an incentive for me to say good things about Paul and his team. It's funny other industries don't require that, but hey, I don't make the rules. I'm actually a client of Paul's, and I can tell you that he brings an understanding of the investing world I haven't seen anywhere else in all my years. He helps me understand what I'm doing and why, so I don't worry about investing or second guess my decisions. There's nothing more unnerving than getting close to retirement age and wondering, have you saved enough to keep from having to go back to work? Or worse, move in with your kids? Paul and his team have the most sophisticated tools I've ever seen for testing your financial plan and helping you sidestep the risks of running out or outliving your investments. And best of all, every office is run by a degreed planner. Set up a free 15-minute phone call today. 10 offices in Middle Tennessee, one phone number. Call 851-1950, 851-1950, or online at paulwinkler.com.
Good news to report in traffic. It looks like it is moving again eastbound, East Loop, downtown. They've got that overturned truck and the mess it caused off on the right exit lane. So it's still partially blocked there, 24 eastbound at James Robertson Parkway. But at least it's open again and things are moving. Got a new development in the Green Hills attack investigation and two big developments, we're told, in Russia's war on Ukraine. These stories and more at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, while everybody's talking just divisive politics, my eyes are on Ukraine and Russia and China and the potential of world war. So trust me, when you do those teases, I'll be listening. Let me ask you a quick question, Ken.
All right, Brother Michael.
When you hear the president may not do a Super Bowl interview, now there ought to be some basic pressure to do it. I realize just as we haven't always had State of the Union addresses, we haven't always had presidents during Super Bowl pregame shows, but now it's become so annual and so ingrained to simply not show up and not do one almost demands an explanation. What's your thought? I mean, just off the top of your head, why do you think Joe Biden doesn't want to do a Super Bowl interview? What comes to your mind immediately?
I think he's being told not to do it.
He's being told.
I do think that, and I don't have anything to back that up. But I do know that all right, this is just my personal pontification. But after that State of the Union address, the next day, he just seemed really, really tired. And
so told not to do it, maybe too tired to do it?
Well, I mean, I think that there is some concern of what he's going to say when there are hundreds of millions of people watching.
Size of audience. Keep going. You're on a roll.
I think size of audience is an issue. And I think that it is at a critical point because we are 2 years out from the election. And there are also some key investigations that are ramping up in the House right now that I don't think that he can now totally rely on his friends in the mainstream to ignore.
I think you've hit all the big themes. This is so much more than just by the way. You're looking at a State of the Union that had the lowest ratings in the history of State of the Unions, and it was scripted, and it was controlled, and it was staged in a room with people that'll stand, a portion of people that will stand up and give the impression that everything that is being said is favorable. And all you can do if a president starts lying is scream, you're lying, as opposed to sitting down. If the Super Bowl's on Fox Entertainment and Fox Sports,
bingo,
you have to sit down with Fox News, and it won't be 21 million people, and you won't be allowed to lie without being challenged. There's very good reasons why the president is going to dodge this. I wonder if the American people will notice. It's 9:30 and the news starts now.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And again, traffic's flowing on the eastbound East Loop downtown where that truck overturned, spilling a bunch of PVC pipe. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in Nashville, new developments in the Green Hills attack investigation. Metro Police say surveillance video footage from the neighborhood helped identify 22-year-old Desmond M. Tyler as the second suspect in that January 30th attack and shooting of a 26-year-old woman as she was out for a walk on Estes Wood Drive at Trimble Road. Two big developments in the war in Ukraine as President Zelensky is asking the European Union for more military aid. Tom Sufi Burridge reports from the front lines.
Cut off all supply routes for Ukrainian forces inside the eastern city of Bakhmut. A Ukrainian official confirming to ABC News that U.S. intelligence has been vital at helping Ukraine pinpoint and strike Russian targets using those U.S.-supplied HIMARS rocket launchers.
I apologize. I cut off that first part. He says that Russia has claimed to have cut off any aid to the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. And back here in the U.S., Yahoo will begin laying off about 20% of its workforce, including the first 1,000 employees this week. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
All right, at 9:33, we have cloudy skies in Franklin, 46 degrees, 47 this hour in Mount Juliet, 47 down in the borough, downtown on Music Row. The statues are naked. The skies are cloudy. It's 47 degrees and feels like 44 in Nashville at WTN. The market, Dow is up 52 at 33,752. NASDAQ's down 47 at 11,743, and the S&P is up 2 at 4,084. That's 2 out of 3 in the red, but let's face it, the market is flat at 9:34. I'm Michael DelGiorno for King Insurance and Associates. I made the switch. That's how they ended up on the radio. That's how you ended up hearing about them. Because I was buying a house and my previous independent agent put in a ridiculous number for insurance. I picked up the phone, tried to call them. No one would return my call. Finally, I turned to the mortgage company. I said, give me some other quotes. And that's when I met King Insurance and Associates. Now I'm friends with Emery, and I've told you about him, and so many have made the switch. Now I got better coverage on my home, better coverage on its content, better coverage on my automobiles. I've since added teenagers. And at the time, I saved $1,500. Now, what was significant about that was my previous independent agent was overcharging me $1,500 for inferior coverage. That was infuriating. But the bottom line is, don't switch to King because I did, or any of my listeners who saved the same or more. Switch because you should. As a company, a family, or an individual. Get a royal review today. You got everything to save and nothing to lose. And you'll start saving in days and all year and next year and the year after. And they reshop it every year. Switch to King Insurance, 329-8121, 329-8121. That's 329-8121 online at tkinginsurance.com. Yeah, Mac was watching the video on Facebook I posted yesterday. We're coming up on the 17th anniversary of being on the Today Show. And this is very Forrest Gump of my life, but people don't know this. I was the second to last guest of Katie Couric on the Today Show before leaving for CBS Evening News. And I know you enjoyed the video, but is it just me or was Katie flirting with me?
She said, wow, quite a comedian.
Yeah. I sensed the tension. That's just me.
Oh, God.
No, we had the
was
Today
really
Show moved into our home, which, by the way, up until then, I would say reality TV is really stupid. But I will tell you firsthand, after what, like, there's a scene in it that they actually used where it says, I was talking to my mom, and you see me coming in through the kitchen,
yeah.
and I have one daughter that has escaped to the back of the house and is playing in a toilet. I have one daughter who's in the pantry just running the Kentwood water and letting it go all over the floor. Well, I was on the phone, and I was so used to cameras, and cameras would follow me, and cameras would stay in different places. And I like to go number one off my deck. And so I was literally going number one on the phone with my mom off my deck, and the guy's going, I'm going, what? He said, Michael, we're filming. That's how used to cameras you get. That you would never think with a guy from NBC and a camera in your house you would do that, but you forget after a while they're there, and you just actually relax and be yourself. Well, Andrea got to go. This is the worst part about it. And by the way, I have an Andrea update on your Chiefs. Andrea got to take, I think it was 6 or 8 or 10 of her friends. I can't remember what it was. And they all stayed at the fanciest hotel downtown in Tulsa. They got to go out to dinners, to lunches, to shows. They all got pampered and massages and facials. It was really pretty extravagant. And then, I get a call from New York saying, we've got your segment down to, now you got to understand, that was the longest one. It was one of the longest Today Show segments ever.
Wow. I mean, it was like 15. It was wild.
It was long. And so they had called me and they go, listen, we got a problem. We've got this down to 20 minutes and we there's nothing else we can cut. And there was some discussion maybe about doing a reality show and all that. As I'm a radio host, and they go, well, there's only one way we can even get this down reasonably, and that is we got to cut all of your wife's stuff out. Do you think that's going to hurt her feelings? So when you finally see it, other than when Andrea leaves and Andrea returns, you never see where Andrea went, which you asked the question, which was fascinating because they spent a lot of money on Andrea. That whole video segment on the Today Show cost well over $500,000. Oof. So I have a $500,000 home movie from NBC and the Today Show of my daughters at 1 streaking naked. I'm just hilarious. And I will treasure it till the day I die, and they ought to play it at my funeral. And I will tell you this in my defense. We did, and it was 4 men, no women. The woman, the producer, Marianne Zellner, who went on to write a book about parenting. She was there in and out, but only the men stayed with me day and night, even slept. And I'll never forget, all 4 men were exhausted. Most of the mistakes that we made, and you make a mistake once, right? That's what makes a mom good. And then you don't make it again. Mm-hmm. So, I would sit down to, start changing a diaper, and I hadn't done it before, so I didn't know where to have stuff, because, kids down on the ground, and then you go, oh, I need my wipes. And you get up. Well, they don't stay still and wait for you, and they can start playing in it or, but the first day was an absolute nightmare. And I mean, if we didn't have 4 of us, who knows? Like, I keep seeing Alex going into the laundry room playing in dangerous chemicals. I mean, I would lose track of them, and then one daughter beating cat food. I mean, I was terrible, made every mistake in the world. I did not make a single mistake the second day, which is why they only focused on me going shopping, because I got it down. I mean,
you figured it out. Nice.
I figured it out, yeah. But I'll never forget after that first night, we put the kids to bed, and we were all in my big living room. And all 4 guys, equipment's all down. There's one guy laying on a chase, one guy laying on a couch, one guy laying on the floor. I'm in a chair, and nobody's speaking. It was like that scene in You Got Mail when they're trapped in the elevator. It's just dead quiet. We don't want We don't want to feed. We don't want to change. We don't want to hear crying. We can't lift a finger. We're exhausted. And there's just dead silence. And all of a sudden in the dead silence, you hear one of the cameramen go, when I get home, I'm going to get my wife a gift. And you hear a couple guys go, yeah. And another guy goes, I'm going to help more. I think I'm going to take a shift. And we're just all, and I'll never forget in all of that video, the most serious thing that happened the entire 3 days wasn't filmed. That's what should have been filmed. That was the impact it had on all of us.
Yeah, that would have been a great scene.
Yeah, it was absolutely
love
classic.
that.
Because, and the whole point of it was, the segment was called Trading Places. Now, in our case, Andrew didn't go do the radio show, which is what they normally would do. If it was a stay-at-home mom, the dad becomes a stay-at-home dad, and the mom goes to work at his office. And then there's mayhem at the office, too. And there's things about going to work they hate. In our case, my wife was in the last 3 weeks of Nick, and we were supposed to go to New York. That was going to be my big payoff, that I got a trip to New York, and, that $500,000 would have been $700,000. And then we weren't cleared by doctors to go, so they had to bring satellite trucks and do the final interview at home. I would have physically been on set with Angelina Jolie
That would have been
Katie
awesome.
Couric's last show. I mean, wouldn't that have been neat?
That would have been crazy.
And then I think Matt would have left my wife alone at that point. She was very pregnant. But that didn't happen. But yeah, so it's coming up on 17 years, so I posted. It was an absolute thrill. NBC was very good to us. And I think we were very good to them in providing them some entertaining material. And in the end, we ended up being one of their longest segments ever. And unfortunately, it had to cut out all of Andrea's boring stuff with her friends, which I didn't intend to do. It was just, you lock 5 guys in a house with 2 1.5-year-old twin girls. We made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, a lot of entertaining stuff.
Very entertaining for women to watch.
It was, you guys
and if we could have done it longer for them, the women would have really enjoyed it because they could have seen the mistake coming.
Oh, yeah.
I've got them both in the bathtub. And I think, I don't have towels. So I leave the bathroom to go get towels. I mean, what a, lot of mistakes.
You were at the restaurant feeding them or whatever, and it was funny because you looked at the producer and you were like, come over here or whatever.
Well, I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. It seemed like she was choking. I'm like, enough of this nonsense for television. Get over here.
Yeah,
and they documented everything, but I'll never forget as long as I live that day in the living room where we're all exhausted, we're all silent, and we're all just thinking about our wives. And then I make the point at the end, what stay-at-home moms do, and I've always felt this way, and I think I've been an advocate for this. For those of you that have jobs, I don't condemn you, but for those of you that look down at stay-at-home moms, duck.
Mm-hmm.
Duck.
Mm-hmm.
The sacrifice they make in giving up their career. The sacrifice they make in being able to leave for 8 hours a day and get away from it. To pour their life and character into our children should be always honored above all. And I had one of the greatest moms who happens to be my soulmate and my wife. And I'm glad that got captured in my mayhem. Anyway, it's on my Facebook wall if you want to watch it. And believe it or not, that's 17 years that went by like that. Remember how we say don't blink? Don't blink. And I've spent every second with them, and it went by that fast. And I have always looked forward to maybe playing it at a wedding. But I had the great fortune of playing it for Anna's boyfriend, Seth, yesterday. And this is the kind of revenge for all the years of eye rolling I've been waiting for. And I enjoyed it immensely yesterday as she was playing with her poop on national television. All right. Glad you enjoyed it, Mac. I got a home office correction from Andrea at the home office. You're not going to like this at all.
Oh, no.
I hate the Chiefs. I always have hated the Chiefs, and I always will hate the Chiefs.
What?
I'm rooting for Jalen Hurts.
Oh,
former Sooner. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. No, Jalen Hurts, great guy. That's fine.
So apparently it's just me that thinks the Eagles are going to win big, but I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
I did manage to get Mr. Sports Talks. I should just give you a segment today and let you just rail on why the Chiefs will win.
Love that.
But I did find, out of all the statistics, because you love to pounce on me, and I get it. Because if I'm talking about deficit or debt or life or liberty or pursuit of happiness or history or constitution, you got to sit there and listen to that. And
that's all you.
Yeah, when Mr. Politics wants to bring up sports, I'm looking to stat him down. And then I looked. So we were off the air going through all the matchups. There are some really bad matchups. Strengths versus strengths that people don't see. I think you're going to have to run the football to win this game.
Yes.
And I think if there's one bullet you have to dodge, it's a quarterback with a high ankle sprain 2 weeks later, probably not 100%, but I'd take Patrick Mahomes at 50%, and I'll bet he's closer to 85, 90.
Yeah.
But you're going against a sack defense that is second to none. And, I think that's the one you have to acknowledge as you're holding your breath. And all the more reason I keep telling you, you're going to have to run the football for that reason.
Got to establish the run. Completely agree.
The simulation from Madden was Eagles 31-17. We'll go over the wokeness of it. I mean, there is wokeness everywhere in deaf signers, in pilots of flyovers. Oh, the wokeness of the Super Bowl that you won't notice. And will Biden speak or not speak? And why might he be running? Oh, and I don't know why we're calling it a farewell tour. I got to get Victoria Jackson from Saturday Night Live on the air with us to find out. She's too young to be doing anything farewell. This is not Elton John and Cher. Keep working. She's got a show coming up in our area you'll want to hear about coming up next on WTN. It's 9:51.